You may be familiar with Canaletto's famous paintings of Venice, such as the scenes of the Piazza San Marco and the Grand Canal. A collection of 24 pieces, including 2 large paintings, are being displayed for the first time away from their ancestral home, Woburn Abbey. Canaletto's Venice Revisited exhibition has opened at the National Maritime Museum, displaying what's thought to be the artist's largest single commission. They were painted for Lord John Russell, the 4th Duke of Bedford, in the 1730s. They have been loaned from Woburn Abbey, currently closed to facilitate a major refurbishment programme, where they are normally found in the dining room, in a less than ideal display to view them all, as the lead curator explains.
And they're sort of stacked 3 high, or mostly, and so a lot of the paintings you can't see very well because they're up very high. And one of the great opportunities that we've had for this exhibition is to bring them all down to eye level, to give them lots of space and gorgeous lighting, so you can really appreciate the detail and the sort of the fascinating, kind of different elements that Canaletto includes in these pictures.
The opening painting is one of the larger works of the collection.
And it's the large paintings that really are kind of the heroes and the centerpieces of the series. They focus on Venetian festivals. This particular one is a regatta on the Grand Canal. So the Grand Canal, that central waterway in Venice, it is the lifeblood that sort of runs through the city. This painting, with all its colours, with all its details, is really Venice showing off its maritime prowess, the skill of its gondoliers racing through the painting.
Lord John Russell's visit to Venice was part of the Grand Tour, an educational rite of passage for the wealthy in the 18th century. The 22 smaller paintings within this series are all sorts of scenes depicting everyday life within different locations around Venice. They are well known through various means.
You might call the biscuit tin effect. Canaletto's paintings get reproduced. I mean, even as early as the 18th century, you have English travellers who, when they come to Venice, say, "Oh, I want to see what I've seen in Canaletto's," because they've been to stately homes and country houses back in England, and they've seen these paintings or they've seen them reproduced as engravings, and they want to go and see those sites for real.
Tourism to Venice has grown tremendously since Canaletto's time. In January 1730, the year before Lord John Russell visited Venice, there were 30 Englishmen in Venice. In 2019, there were 28 million recorded visits to Venice. But this boom has a downside.
The large cruise ships have become a kind of flashpoint for sort of local anger because of the disturbances that they cause within the water, within the canals. It causes damage to the foundations of the buildings, sort of erodes the lagoon bed. So there's sort of a balance to be struck between what is sustainable tourism and what is potentially damaging.
The exhibition closes on the final large painting depicting an important date for Venice, the Ascension Day Festival 40 days after Easter Sunday. But in Venice, it's a civic event.
Nature of this ritual, of this ceremony, is that the Doge of Venice, so the governing sort of ruler of Venice, would go out in his barge, which is the sort of great big gold boat that you can see in the sort of middle distance in this composition. That boat sails out into the middle of the Adriatic Sea, and the Doge drops a gold ring into the water to symbolise the city's marriage to the sea.
This sort of festival goes back to the medieval period and is still going strong in the 18th century, which is obviously when this painting was created.
It then sort of falls away in the 19th century, but is revived in the 1960s and continues to be celebrated to this day, sort of showing the way that the sea and sort of the waters of the Venetian lagoon are still central to the city's identity and how it presents itself even in a 21st century context.
Catherine says Canaletto is known for views of Venice, but the way he can capture the city is quite unique. The precise detail of the architecture, as well as the sort of crowds and the life that he brings to it. The exhibition runs at the National Maritime Museum till September the 25th. Canaletto was a native Venetian and became one of the most sought-after painters of the city's most beautiful views. Neil Woodrow, NTD News, London.